Okay, Aquarius natives, you guys are doing this eclipse in your 612 with the focus on the 12th house. The 12th house, which is your hidden house, your house of hidden talents, of spirituality. But more important, this is the house where all the planets rise. So this is a very underestimated house because this house is actually where planets are the most powerful. If you think of being up at sunrise, which personally I never am, but you might be, and you see the sun rising, you know how noticeable it is, and you know how there's just a peak of light, and then suddenly the sun is blazing. That's what's happening with all of these planets. These planets in your 12th house, the moon, the Jupiter, the Pluto, the Saturn, they are rising in your chart, and so they are extremely powerful. Now, this might be so powerful energy that it is unwieldy, that you might feel like you're wrestling an anaconda and that you are just outmatched. But that is that there's big opportunities for you, and if you can just relax and use your strong abilities, where you can use your intuition, where you can use the spiritual help that you're getting, you're going to make real progress. So now, this is a lunar eclipse, and a lunar eclipse is about how the sun, which is your sense of self, shines on the moon, which is what you need, and this is blocked by the earth. Now, the earth represents mundane things. It represents all of those things that get in the way of you doing your big dreams, which is like the laundry or going to the grocery store or feeding the dog or things like that. And it's that those sort of things expand and take up your entire day. And this leaves you emotionally crying out for something. Then the eclipse comes along and the energy is so strong that you can't take it anymore. And you either stop doing those things, which would not be good for the dog, or you find a different way of doing your life so that you can incorporate the things you truly want to do. Now, this 12th house also does talk about what has a hold of us. What is the addiction that you have? Whether that is something that's a more traditional addiction, or if you're addicted to too much YouTube or something like that, where you are allowing what you're consuming to eat up all your time and you're not getting the time to create something, which is super important. And so this eclipse is about you recognizing those things. This eclipse allows you to find different modalities to help you remove those blocks. This placement of the eclipse is great for things like self-hypnosis and NLP, or any of those things where you shift your unconscious self to make new choices consciously. Now, when we look at the Saturn in conjunct the North Node, Saturn being your career or what you feel like you need to do, and that North Node of your life path, that North Node is falling in your house of fun, of creativity, of love. And so this is more about following what your bliss is. And while it may not feel like it's super practical, because that Saturn wants you to be so practical, it wants you to go out and make the money, you need to find that balance. The inconjunct says you might feel uncomfortable even just doing what you love. Maybe it's been so long since you've done what you love. It just feels weird. You have to try that. But it can't take over your life. You'll have to go back and do that Saturn. And that's going to feel like, oh, this is the same old thing. And so you're going to go back and forth. But this is helping you have a breakthrough. And then speaking of breakthroughs, that Mars in Aries in your house of communication, which is going to be there for the next 6 months, is helping you also, because it's saying if you say it, you have to go do it. Or if somebody says, oh, I bet you can't do such and such, you're like, oh, watch me, because that Mars in Aries says, I am ready to battle for my success. It says if I am going to do something, I'm going to walk my talk. I'm going to live in integrity. It says I'm going to take action. And so this Mars in your house of communication says you could be writing, teaching, tutoring, or doing something with transportation where you are taking action. Mars is going to be there now for the rest of the year. It's going to go retrograde in September, which we'll talk about as we get closer. But just a little sneak peek, it says if you miss an opportunity over the next couple months, that opportunity is going to come back and you'll get another shot at it. Now you have a great relationship set up here because you've got a sextile, lovely sextile between the Sun and Uranus for your relationship houses, plus Venus in the 5th house. So if you're looking for love, you have great opportunities. If you're already in an existing relationship, you could end up loving each other even more. And so we have great relationship energy. Now the only caveat is, of course, this is a sextile between Sun and Uranus. That does mean you have to take the action, you have to initiate, because if you don't, then this aspect and energy just pass you by. So that means you want to, make a date with your sweetheart, you want to talk about maybe moving the relationship forward, or you do want to go online and start meeting some new people. We also have that Venus-Uranus involvement when it comes to home and family, but now it's a semi-sextile, and that means there is a little bit of irritation at home. Maybe the kids are bored and they're tearing up the house. Maybe the house just feels cramped. Maybe you want to move, but you can't do it right now. The semi-sextile says it's a slight irritation. It's not huge. It's just maybe, like the desk is covered with stuff and you're trying to work. It's just small things. And by making small changes, like taking the rock out of your shoe before you take the hike, you're going to feel much better. So look for the small changes that you can make and it will be much better. Both Mars and Pluto are involved in your career. That Pluto in the 12th house says that careers that involve entertainment or spirituality or healthcare are going to do really well. And the Mars says that things involving communication, teaching, and transportation are going to do very well. It also does say that because you've got really no aspect going on, that career itself may be sluggish energy. Like if you're looking for a new job, you're going to have to work a little harder at it. If you have an existing career, you're kind of just chugging along. Really the focus is on following your path and really finding what you love to do, and that is going to bring the career opportunities when these aspects line up better in the future. When we look at your money is being pulled from that Neptune in the 2nd house, which does say that buying and selling is a really good way for you to make money. It also says be spiritual about it. Don't ignore it. That Pisces energy can really ignore your money and just hope that it just happens, that your accounts just fill up. But this would be better for you to have a relationship and a vibration that harmonizes with money. And maybe that's you do a money meditation. Maybe you light money incense. Maybe you really visualize you receiving money, not just what you're going to buy with the money, but that you're actually charging people and that they're happy to pay you. There's so many professions where people pay money and then thank the person. Thank you for taking my money. So maybe you need to visualize that experience for yourself. When we look at your investing and your passive income sources, when we look at money that comes from your business, what we have is that Mercury retrograde, and it's not making an aspect with the Neptune or even the Jupiter for that matter. And so that does mean that you need to just kind of cool your heels when it comes to those things. Don't do a lot of investing right now. Just kind of ride things out. If it is your business, just keep things going. Don't make major changes in your business right now. That energy is going to shift even as Mercury is going forward, so that's actually not very long, and then things will start to show you what direction they should be going. But it says right now you don't have the support from the other planets to make huge decisions, like deciding to sell a business or all of that. Just give it a couple of weeks and let this energy play out. You do have, though, great aspects when it comes to money derived from career, because it's a relationship between the Jupiter and the Neptune, and this is saying that money is flowing in again from your career, and that is flowing in quite well. This is a sextile, so you do have to do some things to do this, which might be volunteering for overtime or even asking to have commission reestablished or things like that. But the money derived from career is flowing, and that's great, because that does indicate that a new job potentially can happen. I would expect that job started, the process for it started before the eclipses, and I think that it will move forward after Mercury goes direct, and that's really a good idea right there. Don't take a new job or sign on a new job until after Mercury goes direct. That's going to help you have longevity in that position, but this does say that money derived from career is good. Now finally, we look at your windfalls, and and that is coming from that 5th house. And so we're looking at again at the Mercury retrograde with the Venus there. There's going to be such a desire you have to try for the big money, to try for the lottery, on all of these things. But this says that only little wins are coming, and with Mercury retrograde, there could even be interruptions in that. So you would be better off, if you're doing any speculation or gambling, to do just very small things and not look at buying a lot of equipment or programs or things like that that are around this, but instead actually sitting down maybe with a spreadsheet and doing a little bit of research about it. But this, right now you're only doing the semi-sextile, so there's not even enough to make you feel happy. It's just irritation. Again, all of this energy will improve as Mercury moves forward, and then things will be better.